You know what? I'm going to ask the council president to join us up here. Where'd he go? Come, stand up here with us. We can put it right there, spot. We're just practicing social distancing there. Right there, if you want. Yeah, step up there. Thank you for joining us. I want to thank all of you for joining us, and good afternoon. With me on the stage is Council President Jolyn Clark, Matt Mueller, who is our Executive Director of the Emergency Operations Center. We have Dr. Robin Wittenstein, the CEO of Denver Health and Hospital Authority, and Bob McDonald, the Executive Director of Public Health and Environment, are here. I want to thank them for joining us, and I want to thank all of you for joining us as well for this very important public health update. Yesterday, Governor Polis issued a new order implementing a statewide strategy to enforce physical distancing, including a directive to businesses that they move to reduce their in-person employee presence at workplaces by 50%. The governor described the challenge in very stark terms. The reality is that because we do not have enough tests to implement a test and isolate strategy nationally, and has been underway in Singapore and South Korea, governors and mayors have been left with the blunt instrument of stay-at-home orders and extreme physical distancing directives. I fully support the governor and strongly encourage businesses to implement work-from-home policies and delivery of goods to the greatest extent possible. The governor and I talk every day, and I could not be more pleased with the close coordination and care he has shown for Denver and all our communities in this extraordinary health crisis. The city and county of Denver is doing its part. In fact, we began the process of moving roughly 90% of our workforce to work from home last week. Every metro area jurisdiction needs to follow the broad consensus among public health professionals because regional awareness and coordination will make these steps work. I've spoken with metropolitan area mayors and county commissioners, and we discussed the challenge and great value of working and executing in a coordinated way. Our challenge is that Denver is the population center for the state. We're the densest area in the state, and right now we have the highest number of positive cases in the state. Because of that, we need to take extra steps to secure the public health and safety of our community. We can also act responsibly as the largest metro community to help all of Colorado. That's why today we are issuing a stay-at-home public health order for the city and county of Denver, which will go in effect at 5 p.m. tomorrow and be in effect until April 10th or extended if necessary. Again, I spoke with Governor Polis about this next step in Denver and the new step that we are taking, and he is very supportive. We want to do everything we can to amplify the mitigation efforts the governor and his team are taking. It's very important that every Denver resident comply with this order. This isn't a recommendation anymore. People need to stay at home. We're going to educate residents on what this new order means, and our primary response to discourage anything beyond the exceptions laid out in our stay-at-home order. But we will enforce when and where necessary. Every effort needs to be made by all of us to conduct only those activities that are essential to the health and well-being, such as grocery stores, obtaining medical supplies or medication, and exercise, as long as physical distancing practices are strictly followed. People and businesses need to take physical distancing seriously if we're going to make meaningful impact on the spread of this virus. We saw some things this weekend that helped me to move toward this very bold decision. In some of our parks, we saw organized or loosely organized sporting activities such as volleyball games and basketball games. We saw picnics. These are the things that will be prohibited under this order and are very important that we stop in order to end the spread of this virus in our community. And so many of our residents are taking the situation very seriously. And I can't thank them enough for staying home and helping us to work toward flattening this curve. Here's why it's important. Our healthcare delivery system doesn't just serve Denver or the metropolitan area. In emergency situations, it's also here to help our fellow Coloradoans living in the mountain towns, out in the eastern plains, and over in the western slope. We can't let our hospitals get overwhelmed. We need to support our doctors, nurses, and first responders, now more than ever. So if you're sick, stay home. If you're not sick, you need to stay home too. It's incredible to see how many of you are donating personal protective equipment, and we thank you for that. We are doing an assessment of our PPE supply now and should have a better sense of which items we will need in these situations or as the situations continue to progress. And if you're healthy, we ask you to please consider donating blood if you're able. We know that these stay-at-home orders are tough on many people, especially our older adults, residents living with disabilities, and so many others. We want to continue to encourage folks to be smart and strategic about their purchasing. Do not panic buy. This order by no means is a change in the attitude and the belief that, as I shared last week, that we should not be panic buying. It puts everyone in a very precarious position when we do that. You do not need to do that. You can go to the grocery store to grab your essential items, but then again, return back home as necessary. I want to assure our business community, especially our small businesses, that we are with you for the long haul. In addition to our Small Business Emergency Relief Fund, we are mobilizing an Economic Relief and Recovery Council with business leaders across industry sectors to recommend and oversee relief efforts during every phase of this health emergency. It's about survival, stabilization, and long-term economic recovery for Denver. So we're not only focused on today, but we are beginning to look forward and how Denver will begin to recover from these economic challenges. The city and many of our partners have been working tirelessly to support our local businesses and workers in any way we can. For example, ToGoDenver.com has a running list of restaurants offering pickup and delivery service. Consider supporting those businesses and their employees. We all need to do our part to reverse the spread of the virus. And my message to everyone in Denver is this: stay informed, have patience, keep your spirits up as we work to protect all residents during this time. Your health and safety is my top priority right now and will continue to be always. We're going to get to the other side of this. I believe it in my heart, and we can get there faster if everyone follows these orders and stays at home. Let me close with this. These are not easy decisions. It's one reason why I've spent time talking to mayors across the nation about their decisions as we contemplate whether to shut down the cities, as well as governors to shut down their states. I can tell you that there are three things that mayors have taken into consideration as they've made these tough decisions. One is the history. In 1918 with the flu epidemic, as well as SARS and other epidemics that have come our way. Cities and regions that have acted quickly and boldly have done a better job of getting on top of the issue and acting effectively on behalf of their constituencies. Secondly, the trends. The trends are not going in the right direction, and the incremental steps that we have taken are not really beginning to move the needles as fast as we need them to move to protect the residents of our cities. The reality is that public health professionals have been advising us that this is the right direction to move for several days now. And with Denver again being the most densest metropolitan region in the state, it makes sense that we move more boldly to address these issues going forward. And then finally, we know that our steps from closing down restaurants and bars and spas and barbershops, beauty shops, and hair and nail salons and other businesses are wreaking havoc on our economy. Many people are out of work. The bolder and quicker we move, the faster we can end this economic trauma in our economy. We don't want to extend the economic pain of the people of Denver. And that's why we have to take bold moves to begin to help this city get on the other side of this curve and begin to flatten this curve. I know the first question will be how you will enforce this. First, we need voluntary compliance from the people of this city. We need you to stay home. If you're not on the essential list, if you're not making a run to the grocery store, or to get something that's essential for you and your family during this time, we ask you to stay home. And so we're going to do everything we can to educate and inform and to discourage the residents of Denver from moving about. And then we're going to enforce as necessary, whenever and however we have to make sure that we comply with this public health order. This is not a recommendation. It is now an order for the city and county of Denver to stay at home. I will now open it up for questions.
As we start questions, just a note to the media that you'll receive the full public health order and the press release shortly here, and the public health order will be up on denvergov.org by the time the press conference ends. Go ahead.
Okay, so my question is that there was a updated amendment the other day that was saying that everything for more than 10 people shall be canceled or postponed until May 11th. So is that still in effect as well? It's on the City of Denver homepage.
For those businesses that fall under our activities, fall under that order, we are now asking for all activities to be canceled and to follow this order to stay at home. And so this order will take precedence going forward.
So it's April 30th instead of May 11th, Mayor?
This order will take precedence until April the 10th going forward.
Okay. And then, I'm sorry, this is Mindy McNeil with Rocky Mountain Public Media. The other question I have is how will the city determine when the crisis has passed?
I'm going to ask Bob McDonald to come here and address that, because that is a question we're all trying to answer, not only here in Denver, but across the country.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, I want to just say that these decisions are very complicated, very difficult decisions, but we're being very thoughtful with them. You know, we wanted to start out with this time frame so that we could take a look at the number of cases that occur during the next 2 or 3 weeks under this new order. We want to keep track of what testing is telling us and see how testing ramps up. Take a look at the curve of cases. Those are all the things that we'll be looking at over the next couple of weeks to determine if we can end this order at that time or potentially extend it if necessary.
Mr. Mayor, this is Joe St. George with Fox 31. Quick question on enforcement one more time here. Are police going to be patrolling parks? Do you envision that taking place? And just as a point of clarification, does this mean if you're a non-essential worker in the city of Denver, come Wednesday morning, you won't be reporting to work? Your order supersedes what the governor has said in regards to reducing the workforce by 50%.
So let's clarify. You're right. So enforcement will include several entities. Our park rangers are going to be in our parks. Though we're not closing the parks, we're encouraging people to walk, to hike, but to also practice physical distancing. We will be closing our playgrounds so that the park rangers will be charged with monitoring that. So if you're walking in the park and we're not seeing the exercise of physical distancing, that might be where the ranger just comes in and educates, informs, and discourages your close proximity at that point in time. Police will be involved in terms of the street, being involved in the public discourse. Again, making sure that people are practicing, physical distancing, but also following the normal course of the law in the city of Denver. And then, of course, our business inspectors will be out there. If you are a business and you're supposed to be closed, our goal is to inform and educate you and to discourage your continual operation before we have to move in with enforcement. But we will have procedures available for every one of these levels. And you may see some of our city employees redeployed, helping with the soft education and information sharing about what you're supposed to be doing or not doing. But the goal is for all of us to follow these orders. We got a question here in the
And
room.
Mayor, just as a final follow-up, sir, you said on Friday that you didn't want to issue an order unless it was done regionally or at the state level.
Yep.
What changed since Friday?
So I've remained in contact with our regional county commissioners and mayors. I think you're going to find or see one of the challenges that I always presented in terms of a regional solution was the difference in governance structure. As mayor of a combined government of city and county, I can work with city council to make this decision. I want to thank Councilman Clark, the president of city council, for being here, and the members of council who I consulted and spoke with as well on this issue. Those cities and the other jurisdictions, you're going to find, I think, see some of them begin to at least ask the very critical question and consult with their public health advisors and administrators on this decision as well. We can act faster as a city, but we know that many of them, as I've encouraged them on the phone to do today, is to begin their consultation, and some of them may be taking votes. Let me say this as well, Joe, because I think this is an important note. If you look around the country, capital cities or major cities in many of these states that have now instituted stay-at-home bans or stay-at-home orders have also started with the major cities leading the way.